Welcome to another Unreal Engine tutorial. I was asked how you would make a moving platform that only starts when the player steps on it. So this is a quick tutorial showing you how to do that. I'm going to start by creating a moving platform, by creating a new blueprint. It's going to be using the actor base class. I'm going to name this moving platform. And inside the moving platform, I'm going to need to add two new components. I like to dock these windows at the top of the bar so I can flick between my open windows more easily. Inside moving platform, I'm going to add, first of all, a cube, which I'm going to adjust the scale of it, drop it down to something like 0.1 in the Z, and then let's just increase the size of this cube in the X and Y axes, just to act as a platform. And then onto the cube, I'm going to add a box collider. We're going to use this collider to detect when the player has stepped on the cube, and then that's going to activate it. You can adjust the size of the box collider by adjusting its scale, or by simply amending the extent options in the details panel on the right hand side. I think I'm probably just going to reset its scale and leave it at something like that. There we go. So when the player steps on this, it will detect. We can use this to detect that collision. So let's head over to the event graph and set up the code for that. Here inside the event graph, I'm not going to need the two nodes down here. I'm going to start by selecting my box collision component here in the variables panel, and I want the on component begin overlap event. You can also search for this by right clicking and searching for begin overlap. It's probably the easiest way of finding this, and you can find all of the overlap events for this blueprint. One of them here is for the box collision specifically, so that's two different ways of getting the same blueprint up. I can either select it from the details panel here, or you can right click and search for it. So when something begins to overlap the box collider, that's this invisible box around the platform, it will trigger this event. I only want the platform to start moving if the player has touched it, so I'm going to go through a simple check here by dragging off from the other actor, what is the actor that has touched the collider, and checking if it is equal to get player pawn. So if the player pawn is the one that has triggered this event, then this will be true. I'm going to create a branch by holding down B and clicking, or you can also right click and search for a branch. So if this is true, then we want to run off of the true statement here. And all I'm going to do is tell this component to start working when the player steps on it. And I'm going to do this by utilizing the interp2 movement component, which is what I've used in other trailers to create moving platforms. So let's add one to this, interp2 movement. And if I drag the interp2 movement component into the blueprint, I can get a reference to it. And Unreal will update every actor in the scene if it has any code running in its tick event. So if I search for event tick, any code that I put in here will also be run in addition to the component's tick events here. In short, if I tell it to not receive tick events, then it will simply not update. So tick enabled, and I set component tick enabled, and I'm going to set that to true if the player steps on it. And then by default, I want to use the event begin play. I can copy the exact same two blueprints here and switch it off. So if this actor is placed in the scene when you start, we will switch off tick for this component, the interp2 movement, and then when the player steps on it, we will re-enable tick for the interp2 movement component. So let's test that very quickly by placing my moving platform into the scene. Coming down to the interp2 movement component, I'm going to add two control points in, and the second one is going to just lift it straight up into the air over, let's say, 2 seconds. So if I press play, nothing happens, and the second I step on the platform, it'll start moving. A nice simple way to control when you switch on and off your moving platforms. Note that when you step off this platform, it won't reset, so you will need to come up with some method of resetting this actor or destroying it and recreating it if you want to restart your level.